All right. Hello, Apparition. Hello, T. Oh, wait, and Jess. Welcome back to Higurashi. Sorry about the weird day. Yesterday, some stuff happened. And thankfully, it wasn't a thing where I had something planned today. So I was able to just move Higurashi Day from yesterday to today. And the schedule is still intact. So we're not missing a day of Higurashi like we did last week. Hello, Void Dweller. Anyway, last time, Chisato had a big crisis of conscience, like with her actions. And I gotta say, it was so complicated, the situation she was in. Honestly, like, I may pity her for personal reasons, but, like, seriously, Chisato, yeah, I'm proud of her for coming to her, that conclusion. And I really like her with that guy, even though he doesn't have a sprite, which pisses me off. So it's kind of hard to imagine. Oh, hello, Shelter. It's kind of hard to imagine like them together because he doesn't have a sprite, that restaurant guy. But Chisato, my girl, in Higurashi console arcs, love the crap out of her. But anyway, today it looks like we'll be getting back to our detective gang and see what they're up to. So, let's get back into it. I just want to, are there any new tips? I don't think there are. Yeah, there aren't.
Please explain, Kano-san. I can't accept.
Goddamn pauses.
I can't accept that you're suddenly halting the investigation.
Speaking from inside Chief Yamaoki's office, I shouted into the receiver in a rough voice. It was unreasonable. The director's order was absolutely unthinkable. Wasn't this supposed to be a secret investigation in the first place? Upper management shouldn't even be aware of it. Then why?
Kano-san! Finally, thanks to the support of a lot of people after great sacrifices, we're finally beginning to grasp it!
I gotta read Jess's comment here at the chief saying,
"You're a loose cannon, Akasaka! You're off the case!"
And he'll be like,
"I'm turning in my badge!"
And it's like, because that's what would totally happen in like a cop movie or show at this point.
The truth behind the threat of Oyashiro-sama that the villagers of Hinamiza will believe in. Please, let me keep investigating until we learn something. I beg you!
Huh. He doesn't even have a voice, Kano's on here. Akasaka-kun. On the other end of the phone, I could hear Kano-san let out a sigh. Based on the tone of that breath, I felt that the decision was no longer up for debate. But even so, I couldn't stop there.
Kano-san!
Oh, now he has a voice. This is an order from the director. Do you understand what it means to go against it? To go against the Empire? I mean, the police station.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. But we won't accomplish anything if we end the investigation here! We'll be left with nothing! If at all possible, please give me the chance to appeal to Director Kataoka directly. That's all I ask for, Kano-san!
I understand how you feel. I myself asked Director Kataoka to reconsider several times. However, the message came in today. Seriously, this sounds fishy as fuck. Like, my god. How fishy is this? They're literally telling him not to investigate a senior officer's death. Like, that is beyond fishy. Like, seriously. Like, their conspiracy bells should be going off like nobody's business at this point. It came from the National Police Agency's Security Bureau, and it explicitly mentioned both of us by name.
National Police Agency? What?
The Security Bureau of the National Police Agency was the headquarters of public security across the entire country. As we have these horror sound effects in the background, the Metropolitan Police Department I worked for fell under their umbrella. And the Public Security Police carried out activities all around the nation under their orders. Yet, how were they able to learn about our research activities? There have been several strange incidents centered around Kageboushi City, where you're located, correct? Some of those incidents were classified as wide area incidents, so the National Police Agency was dispatched. And at the time, they learned there were detectives in the area, gathering information from former Hinamizawa villagers. Oh, we can't have that, can we?
But why? Why would the Security Bureau want to put a stop to that? At the very least, this investigation is intended to explore the cause of the Great Hinamizawa disaster. The Security Bureau shouldn't be interfering with that!
According to the National Police Agency, they're enacting information regulations in accordance with the social impact of this incident. So, halting investigation activities may hurt the case, but on the official record, it's being done with legitimate reasons.
On the official record? Well, then what's the real reason?
Is there anyone else around you?
No, it's just me.
Yeah. He seemed concerned about the other public safety officials here, but Uishi-san and Chief Yamaoki were waiting in a separate room. But based on that precondition, it was clear that Kana-san was concerned about the spread of confidential information. My entire body tensed as I recognized the weight of the implication. Nonetheless, I answered, "Please tell me." We were under pressure from the Cabinet Research Division. I don't yet know the name of the person in charge, but there's no doubt about it. I don't know, someone named, like, what was it? Freaking Hideki Kamiya? No, I believe it was Hideo Kojima. No. God.
It was one of those game developers. I forget. What?
Cabinet Research Division. That was an agency that collected and analyzed information for cabinet ministers, including the Prime Minister. So why on earth would they obstruct a public safety investigation? Moreover, the subject we're investigating is a terrible incident, but it revolves around a rural village and a simple commuter town. It's not a major economic region for the country, and it's not the sort of place that normally receives government secure scrutiny. So why on earth? It's even more incomprehensible than the Security Bureau ordering end to the investigation.
Kano-san. Do you know the reason? I'm sorry. It's too dangerous for me to dig any deeper. But the people involved put a lot of pressure on the National Police Agency and onto us. There's no mistaking that. Is that so? I know this must hurt. I also regret that the mission I sent you on now is pointless. Still, I want you to understand. Now that the Cabinet Intelligence Research Office is involved, the political climate at the national level won't allow us to intervene. You know how much of an influence they can have based on a previous incident, don't you? Yes. But... Please, wait a second, Kano-san. What did you say just now? Huh? The political influence here is just like that old case of yours. That's not it! Before that! You said something about a cabinet office just now. Ah, yes, the cabinet office. Their full name is the Cabinet Intelligence and Research Office, and they're also known by the acronym ZERO, so you know they're evil. Do you know about them too? Ugh!
I knew it. It was an acronym that frequently came up during work. But I couldn't make the connection because they didn't seem to have any relevance to the investigation. However... An emergency responder heard Chief Inspector Minai's final words. ZERO and Cabinet Office.
What's wrong, Akasaka-kun? Hello? Hello? Akasaka! Akasaka! Akasaka!
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta! I slammed the phone into the chief's desk with enough force to break it. They were the ones interrupting my investigation. The incidents related to the Hinamizawa natives were being blocked as a wide area incident. And they even robbed Chief Inspector Minai of her life! Everyone!
Why? Why?
What was hiding behind this great Hinamizawa disaster? It killed 2,000 villagers, and even the people who escaped from that disaster had been caught up in bizarre incidents that robbed them of their lives. They even killed a detective who was trying to unearth that secret. So why the hell are they doing this? And even though I've only managed to grasp a shadow of the tale, how could I retreat here without learning anything? Then what was the point in coming here at all?
Damn it! Damn it!
It's lunacy. How can they go through with this? Why would they do something so cruel? Saturday, July 9th, 1983. The rain was pouring like a waterfall last night. Even after the rain let up, it was still a bit chilly for a day in July, and my throat was starting to feel irritated.
Maybe I caught a cold.
Come to think of it, my body felt a little heavy when I got up from the hotel bed. Of course, that might just be because I've been feeling depressed lately.
How pitiful.
I sat down on one of the chase lounges in the bake room and fiddled with a warm can of black tea in both my hands, muttering to myself in self-loathing. Turn up the music? Sure. That is the Battler voice actor. Yes, Akasaka and Battler have the same voice actor. Yep, there's drink message. Something they... I still think that's something they totally forgot to fill in. Like, why else would it say drink message? Please, cheer up. Suddenly, I saw the figure of Chief Inspector Minai sitting in the chair before me, smiling my way, and it quickly dissipated. Oh god, now we're getting to seabed shit here. Oh my god. Come to think of it, that was where she sat and she ate through that mountain of hamburgers. With those eating habits, she had a life of medical troubles to look forward to in the near future. Somehow I want to help her get through that. But she was already gone, so there was no sense worrying about it now.
It's not that easy for me to move on.
I responded to the figure that was no longer there, and I lamented how powerless and irrational I had become as I tightly squeezed the can in my hands. After that, I let Uichi-san and the others know that I had received orders to suspend my investigation. Uichi-san was discouraged at first, but like a true veteran, he quickly moved on and actually tried to cheer me up.
Unfortunately, if it's a direct government order, there's nothing we can do. I'll try to continue the investigation on my end and let y'all know when I hear anything. Uishi-san, please be careful. I definitely don't want to hear about another stabbing. Thanks for your concern. Yep, I have no intention of dying. I can't die so easily, 'cause I'm not alone here.
After saying that, Uishi-san smacked his chest with his large fist. Thinking about the deep sorrow engraved in that thought, I couldn't say anything.
Inspector Akasaka,
私たちもできる限りの協力は続けていきますので、どうか後のことは犯人は必ず私たちが逮捕して、その首をあなたのところへ持っていきます。
We will continue to work on this as much as we can. So please leave the rest to us. We will absolutely apprehend the culprit and bring you their head.
山沖所長。
Chief Yamaoki.
まどか君のことも任せてください。
And Madoka-kun, please leave it to me.
Those two were the ones who experienced the most sorrow and anger over this. Far more than I. All I could say to encourage them was, please do. However, I didn't tell them the meaning behind Chief Inspector Minai's last words. There was no way I could bring myself to say it. How could I tell the people who passionately believed in the justice system that their beloved country was willing to take someone's life for political reasons? Damn, Akasaka. Wow. That's kind of naive, but you're a good cop, Akasaka. So is Uishi and our whole gang here, actually. Every time I fulfilled my duties as a public security official, I felt a little more of the sadness and helplessness in the world. First off, who do the police even work for? The public? The country? Or some powerful person? Damn. Akasaka being topical without even realizing it. Even though I realized absolute justice was a naive illusion, I devoted myself to working in the name of justice and allowing people to live in peace. Nothing would shake that. And no matter what obstacles were in the way, even if I was forced to take a detour, I did my best to carry it through to the end, because I believed that doing the right thing was its own reward. And yet, what does it mean to be a detective in the wake of this unbelievably hopeless situation? I took my empty can and tossed it into the trash. But the trajectory was slightly off, and it bounced off the edge of the bin and fell to the ground, making an unpleasant sound as it rolled down. And when I saw a pair of feet next to the point where it stopped, I raised my head.
大石さん。
Uishi-san.
Unbeknownst to me, Uishi-san was standing at the entrance.
荒れてますね、赤坂さん。
It's rough, Akasaka-san.
こういう時は紅茶よりもビールの方が合いますよ。
At times like this, beer is more appropriate than tea, eh?
As he said that, Uishi-san picked up the can and tossed it into the trash.
選別といってはご不快に思われるかもしれませんがね。
Though y'all must be in pain, let me give you this parting gift.
君吉夏美が以前沖宮で通っていた高校と中学の内申書を昨日手に入れることができました。
I was able to obtain Natsumi Kimiyochi's middle school and high school records from Okunomiya yesterday.
ちょっと赤坂さんにも見ていただこうと思いましてね。
Would y'all care to take a quick look, Akasaka-san?
よく入手できましたね。
Nicely done.
まあ高校の方は令状を見せたらあっさり手に入りましたが、中学の方はいや難儀しました。
Well, the high school was willing to give it up immediately as soon as I showed them the warrant. But the middle school was a bit more difficult.
運がいいことに彼女の担任が私の顔なじみでしたから、なんとか協力してもらいましたがね。
Fortunately, her old homeroom teacher was a familiar face, and I convinced her to cooperate.
The search warrant was authorized by Chief Yamaoki, so they were reluctant to cooperate with a request from a neighboring prefecture's police department. Then, Uishi-san spread out Natsumi Kimiyoshi's reports and documentation.
で、高校の資料によりますとね、まあ女子生徒に対する一般的な当たり障りのない評価ですな。
So, according to the high school records, she seemed like a typical female student.
おとなしく真面目で人の話をよく聞く。
She seemed to respect the adults and listen to them.
こういう関係もそこそこで、成績も中の上から上の下あたり。
She had decent relations with the other students, and her grades were a little above and below average, depending on the subject.
どこにでもいる普通の女の子ですよ。
She seemed like an ordinary girl, I could find anywhere.
確かにそうですね。
Indeed, I agree.
I thought back to my first meeting with her. At first glance, she seemed like a kind-hearted girl who enjoyed reading books. She seemed a little shy and had some difficulty talking with others, but that was pretty common for girls her age, so it didn't seem noteworthy. However,
ところがね、
And yet,
中学2年の時はちょっとどころかかなり違うんですよ。
she seemed quite different in her second year of middle school.
これ見てください。
Please take a look at this.
これ君吉夏美ですか？
Huh? Is this Natsumi Kimiyoshi?
I noticed the photo of her face attached there. I was surprised when I saw it. The Natsumi Kimiyoshi I saw there had long hair, with bangs that covered her eyes, making her look like a ghost. Really?
ねえ、
Right.
彼女の中学1年から2年の間のあだ名なんですがね、
She had a nickname in her first and second years of middle school.
座敷わらしって言われていたそうなんですよ。
They called her the Higurashi, after a type of poltergeist from folklore.
座敷わらし。
The Higurashi? You mean like the girl from the ring?
陰気なイメージでそう呼ばれていたんでしょうな。
She had a gloomy look to her, so I guess that's why they called her that.
まず協調性がなく、いつも一人でいることが多い。
She wasn't very sociable, and she preferred to spend her time alone.
Yep, I also was like that in school too.
人に話しかけられても反応が鈍く、何か気に入らないことがあると全く話をしなくなる。
Even when people spoke to her, she was slow to react. As if she didn't like the topic, she wouldn't respond at all.
学校も休みがちで、何度か担任が家庭訪問を行っている。
She missed a lot of days of school, and her homeroom teacher paid her several visits.
And after a certain point, she went from being passive to a problematic student. Her isolation within the class probably put her at odds with the other students, and they bullied her for it. How does that make her problematic?
で、なんでクラスの子たちと遊ばないのかって、1年の担任が質問したことがあるらしいんですがね。
So her first year homeroom teacher decided to ask her why she wouldn't play with her classmates.
その返答がこうです。
And this is how she answered.
お母さんが怒るからと。
Damn. I didn't know her mom was that much of a bitch. Are you serious?
Because mom would get angry.
母親が怒る？
Her mother would get angry?
もっともその件で母親の君吉春子に相談したら、以後は何を聞かれても母親に問題があるとは一切言わなくなったらしいですけどね。
However, the teacher talked to her mother, Haruko Kimiyoshi, whose name doesn't appear in the name tag for some reason, about the matter. And after that, no matter how many times the teacher asked Natsumi about her problems with her mother, she never said a thing.
ただ、そこは全く変わりませんでした。
Yet her behavior didn't change at all.
おそらく母親が親の悪口を言うなとでもきつく注意したんでしょう。
Her mother probably scolded her and told her not to speak ill of her parents.
その証拠に今度は先生とも話さずにますます引きこもるようになったみたいで。
And after that, she seemed less and less interested in talking with the teacher, going deeper into withdrawal.
なんてことを。
My goodness.
It was a clear example of poor family discipline. Natsumi Kimiyoshi wasn't trying to blame her parents. She was asked a direct question and answered obediently. And if her parents considered their role in this problem could have easily been solved right away. However, if her mother didn't interpret it as a call for help from a child, but instead an attempt at publicly humiliating her, what would happen?
その子はきっとますます誰も信用しなくなる。
That girl would certainly lose all trust in other people.
She was still mentally mature, so after being reprimanded by her mother, she probably rationalized it as, if I talk to the teacher again, Mom will get angry. And then she avoided talking to anyone. She was worried that her mother might get angry if she spoke to anyone, for any reason. Then she drove herself deeper into isolation.
しかしそれならなんで君吉夏美は急に性格が一変したんです。
But then why did Natsumi Kimiyoshi's personality suddenly change?
何かきっかけがあったんですか。
There must have been some trigger, right?
それがですね。
That's the thing.
中学の担任もよくわからないと言っていました。
Her middle school teacher said she didn't understand it.
で、その性格が急に明るくなった時期はいつぐらいかと聞きましたら、
So I asked when her personality suddenly brightened up.
3年前に入院した後からがそうだったと。
And it happened after she was hospitalized 3 years ago.
入院。
Hospitalized?
彼女は何の病気で入院したんですか。
What sort of illness was she hospitalized for?
貧血症の治療と言っていましたね。
They said it was treatment for anemia.
どうやら君吉夏美は普段から理由もなく突然気を失うことが多かったらしく、それで2ヶ月近くも入院していたとのことです。
Apparently, Natsumi Kimiyoshi had episodes where she would suddenly faint without reason every day. She shows she was hospitalized for nearly 2 months.
幸い時期が夏休みとかぶっていましたから、学業にはさほど影響がなかったそうですがね。
That's gotta suck, though. That's gotta suck for Natsumi. Oh my god. Imagine spending your entire summer in the hospital. Oh my god.
Fortunately, this happened during summer vacation, so it didn't have much of an impact on her academics.
Oh my god. Seriously. Ouch. Ouch. Oh god, Natsumi. What the fuck? I've probably told you this, you guys before, but I went to the hospital for about a month when I was 10 years old for pneumonia. And yeah, they had my homework brought in and everything. And but I loved the ever-loving crap out of the hospital. It was so cool. I got to stay there and watch TV and play. My dad bought me a Game Gear. I bet a lot of you don't know what that is. And like, so I could play some video games while I was there. And they had the best pizza at that hospital. And pneumonia didn't even hurt. It wasn't even painful. Like, later I found out that I had almost died. And that, so I'm sure glad they didn't tell me at the time, because I would have totally freaked out. But ever since then, I've totally, like, seen hospitals as a nice thing, because I had such a fun time there. Oh, I'm sorry, Oe. Oh, you owned one of those apparition? That's so cool. 90s kids! It would eat up 6 AA batteries in 2 hours. Yep. Anemia. It happens due to an iron deficiency in the blood that prevents the flow of oxygen, and the symptoms include dizziness and fainting during exercise or regular activity. It's not an incurable disease, but examination and treatment can take a long time because the risk of complications with other diseases.
しかし入院して体調が良くなっていきなり精神状態まで改善されるものなんでしょうか
However, if she came out of the hospital in better physical shape, would that suddenly improve her mental condition?
体調不良が普段からの素行の悪さの原因としてもなんだか変ですね
It seems strange to think that poor physical health was the cause of her bad behavior.
まあ担任としては娘の入院を機に母親が反省して厳しすぎる教育方針を改めたのかとも思って深くは追求しなかったらしいんですがね
Well, according to her teacher, her mother reflected on her daughter's hospitalization and decided her education policies were too strict, but the teacher didn't pursue the subject too deeply.
で地元の高校に無事入学
So she quietly enrolled in a local high school.
その担任の話では一時期彼女を都会の進学校に通わせる話もあったそうなんですが入院でそれも立ち消えになったようですね
According to the teacher, they had discussed sending her into a cram school in the city, but they dropped that idea after her hospitalization.
都会の進学校に通わせるってのは母親の意向だったんですか
Did her mother want her to go to a cram school in the city?
うん
Yeah.
かなり上昇志向の強い教育ママさんだったようで
She's apparently a well-educated woman who had a strong desire for her daughter to aim for the top.
君吉夏美の体調を第一に考えていた祖母の君吉明とはよく意見がぶつかっていたと町内でも噂になっていたそうです
Rumors were going around town that she got in an argument with her mother, Aki Kimiyoshi, who accused her of not thinking enough about Natsumi Kimiyoshi's physical health.
実際柿内氏への転居は祖母がお社様のたたりを恐れてという理由のほかに
But in truth, the grandmother was also concerned that moving to Kageboushi City would invoke the curse of Oyoshiro-sama.
君吉夏美の体調を理由に大反対したと高校の時の担任は言っていました
Her high school teacher said that she didn't think Natsumi Kimiyoshi's physical condition was the reason.
Life in the city had a completely different rhythm and flow compared to a rural town. Natsumi had only just overcome her sense of isolation and gained the ability to interact with others normally. So she was forced to live in an unfamiliar place. Would she regress to her old personality? Clearly, her grandmother Aki was worried about that. However, Haruka saw her daughter's improvement as a sign she should push her daughter into a good environment. Certainly, if you just want to get a job in a rural area and raise a family, your academic background won't make much of a difference. However, if you're aiming to work for a major company in the city, you need to attend an appropriate college. With that in mind, a cram school in the city would be better able to provide classwork that prepares students for college entrance exams.
実際私もそれと無縁ではなかったが
In fact, I went through the same thing.
Materials I read earlier mentioned that Haruko Kimiyoshi had attended a rural university with a poor reputation, and her husband Toji Kimiyoshi went to the same university. They probably experienced difficulty finding jobs at their education level, and they were trying to push their daughter into higher education to keep her from suffering the same fate. I didn't think that was wrong, but the implication was quite different if Natsumi Kimiyoshi understood that, or if she was obeying her mother out of fear. Could that dissatisfaction turn into hatred or a grudge, gradually making her more and more depressed until something triggered her to explode? Those emotions could be the driving force behind murderous intent. Or more passive emotions like rejection.
んどうしました赤坂さん。
What's wrong, Akasaka-san?
大石さん、
Oishi-san,
これはあくまで家庭の話なんですが、
this is only a hypothesis.
I thought back to the report Chief Inspector Minai received from Matsuoka of the Gifu Prefectural Police about Natsumi Kimiyoshi's medicine, and I explained my reasoning to Uishi-san.
君吉夏美が普段から服用していたのが抗興奮系、抗精神伝達系の薬だって話でしたよね。
Could Natsumi Kimiyoshi have started acting normally after she started taking the anti-excitement mental suppression medication?
だとしたら、その薬を服用するようになってから、
If so, when she started taking the medicine.
いや、服用するようになったからこそ、彼女は性格が一変したということではないでしょうか。
If so, when she started taking the medicine, rather specifically because she started taking it, could that be the reason why her personality completely changed?
は
Oh,
あそれはどういう。
well, how about that?
つまりです、
In other words,
彼女の症状は貧血症ではなく失神だったのではという話です。
her underlying symptom wasn't actually anemia, it was fainting.
They're often confused, but the root cause might have been a mental problem instead of anemia. There's a mental phenomenon that can cause the mind to flip the breaker and shut off consciousness. For example, when a person feels violent urges, instinct can fill a person's mind with destructive desires and murderous intent, but the rational part of the brain can recognize that action is improper and try to suppress it. And as people grow older, the rational part of the brain is strong enough to overpower their instinct, so most adults are able to avoid taking impulsive actions. However, what if the subject was going through adolescence and the rational part of the brain wasn't mature enough to handle it? Children who haven't developed the mechanisms to deal with such sudden surge of instinct wouldn't be able to control the explosion of emotions, and in some cases, those thoughts can turn into actions. Typical examples include destructive behavior, murder, suicide. The exact reasons are unclear, but one of the reasons that young people can suffer injuries from surges of emotion is that they lack the ability to suppress instinct. Still, there are some children who mature early and are able to think rationally, especially in women who seem to mentally mature faster than men. Well, that's just puberty. So, those boys and girls are able to suppress explosions of instinct by making the right choices? Indeed, but one drastic workaround the mind can take for it is that the intentional severance of consciousness, otherwise known as fainting. So it's almost like she has a split personality.
おそらく君吉夏美は同年代の子と比べて我慢強い性格だったのでしょう。
I wonder. That would be really cool. And the other Natsumi that we've seen is her other side. I wonder.
Natsumi Kimiyoshi probably had a more patient personality than the other kids around the same age.
だから本来なら異常行動に出るような激しい衝動に駆られた時は家に引きこもるか
So if a violent impulse emerged that could lead to a normal behavior,
それでも苦しい場合は意識を寸断することで行動に出ることを回避し続けていた。
her mind could shut off her consciousness to avoid taking action.
それが中学時代の他者との隔絶につながった。
And that led her to her isolation from others during middle school.
In other words, Natsumi was isolating herself from others because she struggled while interacting with them. In order to prevent herself from exploding impulsively, she built a wall around herself for protection. In the bottom of her heart, she felt angry and sad about her unreasonable surroundings, while hiding her inner hatred.
しかしそれがその巴ちゃんが分析を頼んでいた例の薬とどういう関係があるんですか?
How does that relate to the medicine Tomoe-chan sent out for analysis?
君吉夏美はその抗興奮系の薬を服用することで普段からうっせきしていた黒い感情
Natsumi Kimiyoshi was taking these mental suppression drugs to alleviate her dark emotions.
つまり母親をはじめとした周囲への憎悪を解消することができた。
In other words, it allowed her to deal with the hatred she felt towards her mother and her surroundings.
抜本的な問題解決にはとてもなっていませんが、少なくとも彼女の精神状態は証拠に落ち着いたのだから、高揚は確かにあったのでしょう。
It didn't fundamentally solve her problems, but it at least settled her mentality and allowed her to stay composed, so it was certainly effective.
その結果、彼女はマイナス感情を弱めることで、行動と思考が安定するようになり、
As a result, her dark emotions dissipated, so she was thought to have stabilized.
常に爆発的な感情を抑え込もうとしていた緊張から解放されて、本来の明るさを取り戻した。
But if she did manage to release the explosive emotions that she was trying to suppress, they'd still be just as potent as always.
Unfortunately, those dark emotions never completely disappeared, because those were Natsumi Kibiyoshi's original feelings. in normal adolescent children. Their dark emotions compete with their more rational light emotions. Interesting way to put it. And they grow to reconcile the differences through a form of compromise. But if she was taking medication that forcibly suppressed these dark emotions, she wouldn't know how to reconcile them with her light ones. We're back to Kingdom Hearts. Thus, if her dark emotions suddenly began to manifest, she wouldn't have the mental fortitude necessary to control them.
Huh.
いやー、失礼な話だが赤坂さん、なんだか推理小説並みに突飛な発想だ。
Oh my god, Uishi! Lamp shading Uishi.
Oh my, that's an awful story, Akazaka-san. Sounds like something you read in a mystery novel, or even a visual novel.
でも一つの過程としてはどうですか？
But how about the one main assumption?
確かに筋は通っています。
Certainly sounds reasonable.
あとは当時君吉夏美が入院していた病院の関係者に聞き込みを行えば何か突破口が見つかるかもしれませんね。
And if we question the people at the facility where Natsumi Kimiyoshi was hospitalized, maybe we'll reach a breakthrough.
彼女が入院していた理由は貧血症なのか、それとも精神的な疾患の治療だったのか。
The reason she was admitted to the hospital. Was it anemia, or was it mental illness?
それが判明するだけでも状況は大きく変わってくると思います。
Depending on how that pans out, I think it could drastically change the situation.
彼女が入院していた病院は分かっていますか？
Do you know where she was hospitalized?
それはまだ。
No, not yet.
I wonder if it was Chisato's hospital. I don't think it was, right? Because, like, she hadn't heard of it before.
しかしそうとなれば調べる価値は十分にあるでしょうな。いやいや、さすが赤坂さん、助かりましたよ。
Oh my, Akasaka-san, you've truly been a big help.
このまま私とコンビを組んで、私立探偵事務所でも立ち上げませんか。
Why don't you and I join forces and start our own private detective agency? We could be, old and slim. Both of those refer to me, of course.
ですね。考えておきます。
Indeed, I'll consider it.
That would be so cool. Then it really would be a buddy cop kind of thing.
Huh?
冗談ですよ。
No, I was just kidding.
軽症の優秀な人材を食うのも困りそうな貧乏探偵にしちまったら、私は中央の人事のお偉方にぶん殴られちゃいますって。
I was kidding. Stealing such an excellent detective from the Metropolitan Police Department would be quite a scandal.
大石さん。
Hoichi-san.
それじゃ私は早速その線を当たってみます。
Anyway, I need to head out right away.
何か分かったらお知らせしますので。では。
Uishi-san left the break room after saying that. I watched his back as he headed off, then sighed and looked up at the ceiling. For a while, I did nothing but vaguely think to myself. A private detective agency, together with Uishi-san, huh? Oh, Akasaka likes the idea. That is so cute. I was mostly just playing along, but it actually sounded like a reasonable idea. Whereas my current job was bogged down by overwhelmingly high pressure and constraints from above that were impossible to understand, the private detective industry was capable of dispensing justice all the time at a smaller scale, and would allow me to delve deeper into the mysteries of Hinamizawa as a top priority. Wouldn't that be a better way to mourn the deaths of Rika-chan and Chief Inspector Minai? Just then. Ooh, what's going on this time? This is Prefectural Police Headquarters, paging Kageboushi Station. I repeat, this is Prefectural Police Headquarters, paging Kageboushi Station. A case of assault has been reported. Oh no. The victim is a high school girl from this area. Oh no! The scene of the crime is Psyche General Hospital. All staff, please prepare for immediate deployment. I repeat.
Huh?
Speaking of Psyche General Hospital, I was there earlier asking about that medicine. The victim was a high school student?
No way!
For a moment, the face of Namsumi Kimiyoshi floated into my mind. Then...
Inspector Akasaka! I haven't got nearly enough screen time. I didn't realize you were here.
It was Detective Fujita, running fast. He seemed to be in a bit of a panic, sweating and breathing hard like he was searching for something inside the police station.
What's wrong, Detective Vegeta? I'll tell you the story in the car. Please, come quickly.
I boarded the car with Detective Fujita behind the wheel, and we headed to the crime scene at Psyche General Hospital. Unfortunately, Uishi-san had just left the station, so I contacted him on his pager and was still waiting for a reply.
So, where's the culprit? It seems they ran away. If it happened in the middle of the day, people would have been there. But apparently there were no witnesses this time.
Oh no! No, Chisato! Oh god, I hope she's okay. Oh no, Chisato! Oh god. No. Not Chisato! Oh, come on. Fucking hell. Stop killing my favorite characters. Game. Seriously. Fucking hell.
The victim is Chisato Psyche. The daughter of the Psyche General Hospital director.
Detective Fujita gave me an overview of the incident. The victim, Chisato Psyche, arrived at the hospital around 2 p.m. with her driver, Yamashina. Oh, God. She said she had plans to meet up with her father and intended to wait in the lobby until their scheduled meeting time. A few minutes later, the victim remembered something and said, "I'll come back later," to Yamashina, then left the hospital alone. After their scheduled meeting time passed, Yamashina thought it was suspicious that she hadn't come back even after her father arrived, so he searched the surrounding area. Oh my god. Oh no! Was it like Alter Natsumi? Oh god. Then Then he found the victim bleeding from her head on the ground in the garden by the Psychic Care and Welfare Center. He immediately brought her to the hospital and called the police. Luckily, he didn't have to walk very far.
凶器は現場から発見できませんでした。
No weapons were found at the crime scene.
盗まれた所持品もなく、物取りではなさそうですね。
Oh, a typo here.
And none of her belongings were taken, so it doesn't look like a robbery.
遺留物や犯人の足跡などについては、現在、機捜と鑑識が現場検証を行っている最中です。
The forensics team is currently investigating the premises to find footprints or other clues pointing to the culprit.
被害者も比較的軽傷で、頭を5針縫った後は意識もしっかりしているとのことです。
The victim's injuries are relatively minor.
Oh, thank God.
She received 5 stitches to the head and has currently regained consciousness.
Thank God.
被害者は犯人の顔を見ていないのですか？
I suppose the victim wasn't able to see the assailant's face.
え
Right.
え、どうやら突然背後から襲われて見る暇がなかったと。
Apparently, she was suddenly ambushed from behind, so she didn't have an opportunity to see anything.
他にも心当たりとかがないか事情聴取を行いましたが、体調の不良を理由に中途で打ち切っております。
I tried asking her about other details, but had to stop midway due to her poor physical condition.
なるほど。
I see.
Could this be a random attack? Or did the attacker hold a grudge? And if so, why?
被害者の佐伯千里は例の君吉夏美と親しかったようです。
Oh, God.
The victim, Chisato Saiki, seemed to be an acquaintance of Natsumi Kimiyoshi.
しかも犯行現場となった佐伯介護福祉センターでは君吉夏美が少し前までアルバイトをしていました。
On top of that, Natsumi Kimiyoshi was working part-time at the Psychic Care and Welfare Center where the crime took place.
Oh, God. It was probably Alter Natsumi. Oh, my God. Two police officers were sitting in front of the hospital room where the victim, Chisato Saiki, was recovering. One of them was Detective Hinata.
Oh, お疲れ様です。赤坂警視。
Oh, thanks for helping out, Inspector Akasaka.
お疲れ様です。
Likewise.
状況は
So, what's the situation?
さっきまで眠っていたようですが、少し前に学友が入ってきて中で話し込んでいます。
She was sleeping until a classmate stopped by a little while ago. They're talking inside. Listening carefully, I could hear a mix of sad and gentle voices coming from inside the hospital room. Maybe she was crying in relief after learning a friend came running here worried about her.
話は聞けそうですか？
May I question her?
医師と父親の了解は得ておりますが、
We've obtained consent from both the doctor and her father,
まだ精神的に安定しているとは言えない状況です。
but we're still concerned she might not be mentally stable enough for that.
簡単にあまり刺激をしないようお願いします。
So please, try not to overstimulate her.
わかりました。
Understood.
I nodded to Detective Hanada, then knocked on the door of the hospital room. After a while, a firm voice called back. Who is it?
刑事の赤坂です。
It's Detective Akasaka.
少々お時間よろしいでしょうか。
Do you have a minute?
Oh, Chisato. I could clearly hear some wavy, weary breathing from the other side of the door. The silence continued for a while, and the moment I began to fear was being declined. A voice called back. Come in.
失礼します。
Pardon me.
Tamako is here. I thought it should have been her. Oh my god. Okay, you guys. I will be right back ASAP. I just gotta go to the bathroom for a bit. Alright, and we're back. In the hospital room, I found a girl laying in the bed, and a girl in a school uniform sitting on a chair next to her. I quietly pulled my police badge from my breast pocket and held it up for the two of them.
お体の具合の悪い中、誠に申し訳ありません。
I'm really sorry that this happened to you.
少しお聞きしたいことがあるのですが、ご協力いただけますでしょうか。
But I have a few things I'd like to ask you. See, would you mind cooperating?
協力はしますが。
I'll cooperate. The victim, Chisato Saki-san, lifted her upper body from the bed. She was wearing a gown and still looked feverish as she held her head up. She looked to her friend and said, "It's fine," before turning back to me and speaking.
この通りの体ですから、あんまり長時間は勘弁してください。
This body of mine will take a while to recover, so please bear with me.
それに、大抵のことはすでに別の刑事さんにお答えしています。
Plus, I've already told another detective most of the important information.
ええ、理解しています。
Yes, I understand.
そちらに行ってもよろしいでしょうか。
May I come closer?
はい。
Sure. I lightly bowed my head in appreciation, then moved beside the victim's bed, across from where her friend was sitting. Her friend glared at me with a distrusting expression, on the verge of disgust. But in contrast, Chisato-san looked at me with a slightly gloomy expression.
時間もないので、率直に伺います。
I don't have a lot of time, so I'll be frank.
あなたの親しくされているご友人についてです。
Well, first of all, Frank, I'm Chisato.
I need to ask out a person close to you, a friend of yours.
Oh my god. Of course, the moment I said that, Chisato-san turned her gaze downward, and she started to bite her lip. I began to wonder if it'd be alright to discuss this, with her other friend sitting right there.
夏美の何を知りたいのですか？
What do you know about Natsumi? Oh wow, a sprite, finally. Chisato-san was still biting her lip, so the other girl responded in her behalf, in a slightly trembling voice.
失礼ですが、あなたは
Excuse me, but who are you?
私、牧村玉子と言います。
I'm Tamako Makimura.
ここの千里さんと同じく、夏美の、君吉夏美のクラスメートです。
Just like Chisato-san here, I'm a classmate of Natsumi Kimiyoshi.
そうですか。あなたも
I see. You too.
夏美を疑っているんですか？
Do you suspect Natsumi?
もしそうなら見当違いです。
If so, you're making a mistake.
あの子はこんなひどいことできる子じゃないですから。
And there's the train. Wait for it to pass. Sorry, guys. That girl was never capable of doing something so terrible.
玉子、あんた。
Tamako. You.
いいえ、言わせて千里。
No. Let me say this, Chisato.
私聞いたの、アキラちゃんから。
I heard from Akira-chan.
夏美がおかしくなったのは変な連中にファミレスに呼び出されてからだって。
Natsumi's strange behavior started after those weird people invited her to the restaurant.
その時夏美すごく怯えて泣いてたって。
Natsumi was so terrified at the time, she cried.
それひょっとしてあなたたちの仲間ですか？
I don't suppose that was one of your people. After saying that, the girl across from me, Tamako Makimoto-san, glared at me with a look of hatred. Indeed, I couldn't help but remember that incident.
あなたたちが来てからあの子は変わってしまった。
That girl changed since all of you came here.
今まで明るくて優しくてとっても可愛いいい子だったのに、あなたたちのせいで。
She was so kind, so gentle and cute, until all of you got involved.
一体あの子が何をしたって言うんですか。
What on earth did you do to her?
タマコ。
Tamako.
それなのに私
And yet,
私何も知らなくて、あの子のこと疑ってひどいことを。
I can't fathom that girl doing something so terrible.
千里に気が利かないって言ってたくせに、私が一番あの子のことを分かってあげてなくて。
Even when I told Chisato I didn't care, I didn't understand her at all.
そんな。
That's...
謝りたい。
I want to apologize.
何もできなくてごめんって。勝手に勘違いして嫌ったりしてごめんなさいって。私、夏美に謝りたい。
For being unable to do anything, for letting a misunderstanding drive me to hatred. I need to apologize to Natsumi.
そうでなきゃ。私。
Otherwise, I... Drip, drip. Tears began spilling down to the ground from Tamako-san's face. Facing the strength of her compassion for a friend, I couldn't say anything to defend myself.
おっしゃるように、君吉夏美さんに聞き込みを行ったのは
It's as you say.
私たちです。
We were the ones who interrogated Natsumi.
その方法に行き過ぎがあったことも認めます。
And I admit that we overstepped our bounds.
言葉だけではどうしようもありませんが、謝罪だけはさせてください。
I don't think words alone can excuse this. But please allow me to apologize.
謝られたって。今さら謝られたって。
Oh, you're apologizing. You think you can apologize for this now?
やめなよ、タマコ。
Stop it, Tamako.
刑事さんたちだって事情があってのことなんだ。
Detectives have circumstances of their own that y'all need to consider.
この人を責めるのは筋違いだし、むしろ。
It's unreasonable to blame him instead. That's probably partially it, Void Dweller. The other reason is probably a certain syndrome kicking in. Chisato-san tried to comfort Tamako-san, who was still crying, but then she grimaced as she seemed to remember something. When I saw that, I decided to follow up with a more direct, difficult question.
あなたは
Oh wow, a
君吉
CG.
夏美さんの事情をどの程度ご存知ですか？
This is a really cool CG, actually.
How well do you know what Natsumi Kimiyoshi-san has been going through?
言いたくない気持ちはよくわかります。
I understand that she doesn't want to talk about it.
私だってこの件でたくさんの人に関わって多くの惨劇を目の当たりにしてきました。
And I know she's seen a lot of people involved in many tragedies.
そのせいで自分が多くの人に不幸をもたらしているのではないかと疑って恐れ、中途で調査をやめるべきではないかと何度も考えました。
Thanks to that, I've begun to wonder if I'm spreading unhappiness to others, and I've repeatedly asked myself if I should halt this investigation.
ですが聞いてください。
But
佐伯さん、
please listen, Saiki-san.
あなたのご友人夏美さんはまだ生きています。
Your friend, Natsumi-san, is still alive.
死者はどうあっても帰ってこないが、生きている人ならまだ救うことができるはずなんです。
Those who die can never return. But if someone is still alive, it means they can still be saved.
違いますか？
Isn't that so?
私が望むのは彼女の逮捕じゃない。
My goal is not
彼女
to
を救うことなんです。
arrest her. It's to save her.
それだけは信じてください。
Please, believe in that.
Chisato-san's shoulders slightly twitched, and she tightened her grip on her blanket. Right, that's right. While delivering the answer, I thought back to what she said to me.
できれば救ってあげたいんです。
I'd like to save her, if I can.
あの子のこと、なんか他人のようには思えなくて。
I see a lot of someone else in her. Chief Inspector Minai was thinking of Natsumi Kimiyoshi until the very end. It would take a tremendous amount of strength to see this investigation through the end. But even so, at the very least, I should do my best because she wanted to save her. With that, she can rest a little easier to atone for this.
夏美さんは今苦しんでいます。
Natsumi-san is suffering now.
それでも懸命に悪夢に抵抗して強行を抑えようとしている。
She's still working hard to resist her nightmares and control her dark side.
あなたを一度殴打して逃走したのがその証拠だ。
The fact that she only hit you once before running away is proof of that.
He realized it too. Akasaka being really smart here.
違いますか？
Wouldn't you agree?
本当に悪夢に支配されていたらあなたを殺害するまで襲い続けたはずだ。
If she were truly taken over by her nightmares, she wouldn't have stopped until she killed you.
なのにそこまでしなかった。
But she didn't.
だから私はまだ彼女を救える道は残っていると信じています。
So, I believe there's still a way to save her.
刑事さん。
Detective. Chisato-san took a deep breath and opened her eyes, and Tamako-san looked away as she gripped her chest. Right. Since I came here, I was already considering the possibility that Natsumi Kimiyoshi was the person who attacked Chisato Saiki-san. Really, who else could it be? And after listening to the two of them in the room, I was absolutely convinced. They knew that she was the culprit. Nevertheless, they tried to hide it, to protect her. They felt incredible compassion for their friend. However,
佐伯さん、
Saiki-san,
彼女は確かに今回の事件で逮捕されるでしょう。
she will definitely be arrested for this incident.
それに元の生活に戻るためには血の滲むような努力をしなければいけない。
The only way to win back her old life is through blood and effort.
yet, regaining her old life was probably close to impossible. After all the pain she's experienced, She was probably questioning whether it would be easier to take her own life.
しかしこれ以上の強行を犯せば今度こそ本当に取り返しがつかなくなる。
However, it will be impossible to get her back if she carries out another atrocity.
それを食い止められるのはあなただ。
And the only one who can stop it is you.
あなたしかいないんです。
You're the only one.
With all my might, I held my breath to steel my stealth as I held her hand on the bed and looked into her eyes. Maybe it's all a useless struggle. But even so, we should never lose hope. Otherwise, thinking of her, of Chief Inspector Minai, would be just too painful. As a result, I need to do everything in my power to prevent any further violence. And then... Oh my god, Jess! That's exactly what I was thinking at that time. Like, in Danganronpa, it's like... Psyche Chisato, you're the only one! Break! Like... That's exactly what I was thinking. At that moment, Jess. You and I were of the same mind right there. And then...
もう一度
One more
もう
thing.
一度だけお伺いします。
I have one more thing to ask of you.
あなたを襲った犯人、あなたはその顔を見ましたか？
The person who attacked you. Did you see their face?
Chisato-san breathed in and out many, many times, with a slight quiver on her lips. It may not have lasted very long. But for me and the two friends of Natsumi Kimiyoshi sitting before me, the silence seemed to cause time to stop, as the heavy air caused both our bodies to freeze. The only thing I could hear was the faint cry of the Higurashi at dusk. There's Higurashi way out here? Damn. I thought they were only around Hinamizawa. I didn't realize that.
私を後ろから殴って
I was attacked from behind. And then Chisato-san clenched Tamako-san's hand with both of her hands, then spoke in a soft voice.
み
Not Sumi.
夏美が私の後ろから
I knew
食い
it.
かかってきたんです。
Everybody knew it at this point. It just... She hates this fact. Oh god. Natsumi Kimiyoshi was the one who attacked me from behind. Damn, what's going on now?
Attention! All vehicles from Kageboushi Station! This is an emergency deployment.
Damn, they got an APB out on Natsumi.
All investigators, begin searching for the suspect of the attack at Psyche General Hospital, Natsumi Kimiyoshi. I repeat.
The siren of the police car flashed red and made a tumultuous racket.
Investigators heading to the Kimiyoshi household. If you do encounter Natsumi Kimiyoshi, it's strongly advised that you convince her to surrender voluntarily. If she offers resistance, Please take her age into consideration when attempting to arrest her. This is Japan.
全捜査員は留意せよ
All investigators, please keep that in mind.
こちら藤田社
This is Vegeta, the Vegeta car.
命令了解直ちに現場へと向かう
Coming in from the Fujita mobile. Orders acknowledged. Heading to the scene immediately.
Damn, this track kicks ass. Hunting down Natsumi. Da, 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 da. With Detective Vegeta at the wheel, the scenery blew past me out the passenger side window. Will we make it in time? Won't we? That is up to will of the gods at this point. However, the blood, sweat, and tears of many people brought us to this point. I want to finish this here. Truly, right here, right now.
Inspector Akasaka.
はい
Yes.
With the siren blaring and the radio making a racket, Detective Vegeta called out to me in a gentle tone that didn't match the surrounding atmosphere. And then,
こんな時に変なことを言いますがね
It might be a strange thing to say at a time like this.
赤坂さんは偉くなってくださいよ
But please, Akasaka-san, give it everything you've got.
ミナイさんの口癖だったんです
It was an old saying from Minai-san.
中途半端な権限だから正しいことをしたくてもできない
Doing things halfway is never enough.
だから私も偉くならないとってね
So I need to give it everything I've got.
そのために頑張って優秀ってことを認められて出世するんだって
Following that example and pushing myself to be the best that I can be is what brought me to where I am today.
藤田さん
Fujita-san,
俺赤坂さんに期待していますから
I have high expectations of you, Akasaka-san.
だってミナイさん赤坂さんのことずっと褒めていましたよ
Because Minai-san praised you all the time.
頑張って腕磨いてあなたみたいな優秀な人の部下として働けるようになりたい
Working hard and never giving up. She was proud to work with a man as exceptional as you.
あの人の気持ち忘れないであげてくださいね
Please, don't forget about how she felt.
damn. Seems like they're setting up Natsumi as some kind of crazy ass final boss shit here. Holy fuck. Like, is it just me or does it feel like that?
ええもちろんです
Yes, of course.
忘れやしませんよ
I'll never forget.
決して
My heart was racing as I considered everything going on, but I looked straight ahead and thought fast. Right. Just like Uishi-san, I can't escape either. Yukie, Rika-chan, Chief Inspector Minai. I'm carrying the lives and dreams of many people. And Miyuki. Even though I felt regret about leaving her alone, Chief Inspector Minai encouraged me and said that she would understand one day. That's right. Someday I want her to understand. To believe in the things I do as a detective.
偉くなりますよ絶対
I'll give it everything I've got. Absolutely.
ええ死ぬ気で絶対にやってやります
Don't say that, Akasaka. Oh god.
Yes, I'll do it. Even if it kills me.
Seeing that reply, the look of determination on Detective Vegeta's face eased into a smile as he nodded. And then... Vegeta-ka, please respond! Vegeta-san, Akasaka-san! Either of you, please come in! Suddenly I heard Madoka-san screaming through the radio. Based on the light on the radio, this wasn't a broadcast communication. She was communicating only to us. On top of that, the serious tone of her voice gave us reason to expect the worst.
こちら藤田社
This is Vegeta Car.
私です
This is
赤坂です
Akasaka speaking.
何がありました
What happened?
I received a message from Matsuoka-san of the Gifu Prefectural Police. Holy fuck! Apparently, around noon today, they found a head of a woman on a prefectural road. In the mountains of, deep in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture. When Kaoru-san heard the news, he summoned tell Akasaka-san immediately. Oh God. So that's...
落ち着いてください。
Please calm
そ
down.
こに何があったんですか。
What's happening there?
現場の遺留品に「コーというの文字が書かれた人型を発見したそうです。
Oh my God. Along with the remains, they found a doll with the name Kimiyoshi written on it.
年齢はまだ公表していませんが、70前後の老女との話でした。
Holy shit. Did Natsumi like tune into this dimension last time or something? The full details haven't yet been released, but they said it was an old woman around age 70. Oh my God.
赤坂さん、
Akasaka-san.
それって。
That's...
There was no need for Detective Fujita to say it. I felt the same thing.
今テレビでも臨時ニュースが流れています。
The news is starting to break on TV.
大石さんにも連絡したんですが繋がらなくて、
I also tried contacting Uishi-san, but I couldn't get through.
連絡が取れ次第至急そちらへ向かってもらいます。
I'll make contact as soon as possible, then head over to you.
わかりました。
Understood.
とにかく私たちは現場に急ぎましょ
Let's hurry to the site.
う。了解です。
Roger!
Maybe we can still make it in time. No, we have to make it in time for what? You're not going to save someone who's been decapitated. I clenched both my fists as I passionately convinced myself of that. What a chapter this was. Action-packed. And we still have a little bit of time. You know what? I'm going to go into the next chapter. I'll try to get a bit of a leg up on the next chapter. Apparition. Oh, thank you, Apparition. Damn, you answered me right before I was about to ask you. Okay, so the next scene, continue until I see sprites. Perfect. That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Apparition, what would I do without you, man? You can read my mind. Thank you. All right. The same day, somewhere in Kageboushi City. The dust coated the park in a bright blood-red hue, casting an eerie shadow on the premises.
さてどうしましょうかね。
Okay, so this is what's going on with Uishi.
Well, what should I do?
Uishi stood up from the park bench and crushed his cigarette under his foot. Even though it had become more predictable, there was no satisfaction in it. But a labored feeling weighed down on his shoulders and pushed on his entire body, making it hard to move. It happened completely by coincidence. He stopped by a restaurant to grab a late lunch, and by chance he noticed the TV broadcasting a daytime drama with a bulletin message on the bottom of the screen. Woman's body found on Mountain Road in Gifu Prefecture. Currently identified. When he saw that message, Uishi immediately thought back to the investigation meeting from the other day.
例の君吉家の祖母アキですが、
It's about the grandmother of the Kimiyoshi family, Aki.
やはりこの数日誰も目撃した者がいないそうです。
Apparently nobody has seen her for the past few days.
そこで君吉当時に先日任意で聞き込みを行いました。
Seriously, it really feels like last time Natsumi kind of freaking tuned into this dimension.
So I asked Toji Kimiyoshi about it the other day.
彼は日曜日岐阜県の山に出かけていたことにつきましてはあっさり認めました。
He confirmed that he traveled to the mountains in Gifu Prefecture on Sunday.
何でも沢釣りに行ったとのことです。
He claimed he was out fishing.
早い話が偽装の可能性が高いということね、花田くん。
So, you're saying there's a high probability that the suspect is being duplicitous, right, Hanada-kun? Uishi rushed to contact Kageboushi Station, but unfortunately all the investigators, including Akasaka, were heading out to the Kimiyoshi household. Madoka told him she was about to leave too. Thus he had no choice but to directly contact the Gifu Prefectural Police about the woman's head discovered in the mountains. However, they refused to confirm any details on the grounds of confidentiality.
ともいちゃんに頼めないのが本当に痛いですよ。
It really hurts not having Tomoe-chan around at times like these.
Nowadays, he was feeling lost and frustrated by how vertically split the police departments had become. Each station had a limited scope of responsibility, called a jurisdiction boundary. Simply put, it was their territory, and the vast majority of the people in those organizations had little respect for outsiders. So, even when speaking with a fellow policeman, they'd be tight-lipped with details when dealing with anyone from outside their territory. It's probably because of quota bullshit. Like, the idea of quotas for police just makes me kind of sick. Because that can only lead to bad things. Plus, it allowed them to pin the blame on others. Oishi-san was doing investigative work with the Kakuichi Station's Chief Yamaoki, but anything coming from out of that could cause problems. He grew weary of this closed, troublesome system many years ago, but as a member of society, he had no choice but to endure it.
まあ、それに根掘り葉掘り理由を聞かれるのもなんですからね。
Well, I won't ask why they were digging in that area.
If he'd said, I'd like to cooperate because I believe that's Aki Kimiyoshi's corpse, and asked for support, how would they respond? Plus, he was from the Hinamizawa area, so they might be interested in his relation to this curse. If he'd asked something like that, what would happen? It was easy to predict. Naturally, they'd be completely surprised and want to ask him for the details about the situation. Then, the Gifu Prefectural Police would report that Uishi-san was doing investigative activities, and that information would be transmitted to the higher-ups in command.
冗談じゃない。
Seriously?
Even within Chief Yamaoki's Kakuichi Station, the number of people willing to collaborate was dwindling, because they couldn't distinguish ally from enemy. Another station couldn't be trusted. Indeed, Uishi had grown suspicious of the Gifu Prefectural Police since the nurse burning incident a while back. When faced with that level of opposition, information gathering was like drawing blood. It was incredibly frustrating. As a result, Uishi couldn't reveal his true intentions, and had to rely on vague excuses like it resembled a person from a search case. Nevertheless, there was a chance they'd feel anger and contempt for that person calling them.
ま、こうなったら直接聞いてしまった方が早いかもしれませんね。
Well, it might be faster to ask him directly.
After all, indirect attacks weren't Uishi's field of expertise. When someone becomes suspicious of another, they can develop a desire to indirectly harm them, then break away to become more confident. Either way, for now, the best choice was to watch things slowly. When Uishi first contacted Natsumi Kimiyoshi, he saw her as an innocuous target. However, after learning her past and discovering that her grandmother Aki Kimiyoshi may have fallen into the worst possible situation, he began to think it was the opposite. Natsumi Kimiyoshi almost certainly had some involvement in the incident, or at least knowledge of the circumstances. And if Tomoe's words were right, she looked completely different beneath the surface. So to prevent any further tragedies, securing her as soon as possible was a top priority. It was probably going to be some time before the Gifu Prefectural Police determined the identity of Aki Kimiyoshi, so they wouldn't have a warrant to search the Kimiyoshi house until then. That time lag was truly their last opportunity. If he squandered his time, it would be too late.
行きますか。
Yes, I should get going.
He began walking down this path for the second time. Last time he came, he was struck by a sudden downpour and had to hurry out of there. That was when he met Natsumi for the first time, at the steps in front of the Kimiyoshi house.
あの時は普通の娘さんだと思っていたんだけどな。
At the time, I thought she was just an ordinary girl.
He had no way of knowing she was such a problematic child back in Okonomiya. Uishi simply didn't have that information available to him. How could anyone have known? And I still hate calling her a problematic child. That is unfair to Natsumi. From what we were told, it sounded like other kids were doing shit to her. She was not bothering anybody. Even if she was a problem child, those were nothing unusual. Unless she was organizing a rampage, the police wouldn't be too concerned about it. I would eventually forget about her. And regarding her so-called troubles at school, there was nothing to latch on to. People cared about the school upbringing of the next generation, but it wasn't the sort of thing they saw on a daily basis. Indeed, they had no idea what sickness she was being hospitalized for, or what treatment was being done. Only so much observation from afar could be tolerated without creating an information-controlled, totalitarian state. My God.
しかしまあこういう問題が起こった後は疑心暗鬼にもなるってものです。
But well, after a problem occurs, it raises suspicions.
He suddenly muttered to himself, trying to think. Yep, apparition, I heard. I'm seeing the times left. The next few streams are going to be really wonky. I'm just because the links of the chapters are so awkward. The people behind the curse probably wanted to disseminate fear to the general public. So maybe they saw Natsumi Kimiyoshi as an ideal target? At least on the surface. Natsumi looked like an ordinary girl without any problems. A child like that getting caught up in these tragedies just because she was from Hinamizawa. If that were to happen, how would it change people's perception of Hinamizawa? Maybe people would see them like live ammunition and avoid touching them to protect themselves from the curse. It could lead to discrimination and persecution as well. And then, the people from Hinamizawa would feel even more isolated from the world, which would drive them into hiding, bearing the truth behind this curse and the disaster forever.
うまく考えたな。まったく。
It's all part of the mastermind's evil plan. Oh, God.
Truly, terrifying thought.
As soon as the thought came to him, he let out a sigh. But what was the reason to display such a flashy curse and then silence the voices of the non-believers? A total of 2,000 casualties seemed just too much. Ueshi-san was unable to shake the feeling that the incident was manufactured to be a major social phenomenon.
おっと
Oh,
He suddenly turned his gaze to the fountain in the park and noticed a girl in a familiar uniform talking to a male student. Whoa! She's here? Even from this distance, that hairstyle was unmistakable. Natsumi Kimiyoshi. And the boy beside her.
ああ、あの時の。
Right from back then. He was the boy who rescued her at the coffee shop on that rainy day a week ago. A boy with a strong glow in his eyes, who she was sure that Natsumi Kimiyoshi referred to him as Todo-kun. The conversation between the two of them echoed throughout the park. With nobody else around, Ueshi was able to hear some of it from a decent distance away.
大丈夫だよ東堂くん
It's fine, Todo-kun.
本当に何もなかったから
Really? It's nothing.
君吉話してくれ
Kimiyoshi, please talk to me.
俺もう嘘は聞きたくない
I don't want to hear any more lies.
そしたら私もう何も話せなくなっちゃうな
In that case, there's nothing left for me to say.
Damn. Natsumi evasively laughed at the boy with a serious look on his face. Even without noticing Ueshi's approach, the two of them stood there in the tense atmosphere. Based on the bags sitting by their feet, the two of them were probably on their way home from school. And it was clear from the atmosphere that these two weren't just classmates. They were close. And Ueshi realized their closeness was contributing to the tense air. Was forming between the two of them. Wait, what? I think there's a missing word here. That their closeness, comma, which was contributing to the tense air, comma, was forming between the two of them. That's how I would write that sentence, at least. Unable to find the words to speak to each other, the silence continued. Behind the silent air hid a truth that each of them wanted to hear. Sensing that the emotions were winding down, Ueshi took the opportunity to approach the two of them.
いやー、失礼。
Oh, pardon me.
こんにちは、君吉さん。
Good evening, Kimiyoshi-san.
Is this the place to stop, apparition? Is this the good place to stop? I think this, Here? Okay, you guys. Well, with this, we are winding down Kageboushi. How is Ueshi gonna deal with Natsumi and Akira? Find out next time I certainly can't wait to see what's going to happen. So basically, I'm checking the length of the parts. Yeah, this is about 10 minutes into this part, so maybe, like, we might be able to make some good timing and finish this chapter and the one after. Maybe. I don't know, honestly. It's gonna be really weirdly paced. If we do this, then part way into the next, then do that. One of them is gonna be short, because I think I'm not gonna want to stop the ending. The ending is gonna be probably a long one, so the next one is gonna be this and this. Then we might have a shorter one, and then the finale. So, yeah, if we want a long finale, then, let's see. Yeah, there might be 3 more streams. Might be 3 more streams, but there also might be 4 left in Kageboushi. So, yeah, we are definitely winding down. Because I think once I get to the ending, I'm probably not going to want to stop, because the police case files, the very last one, I haven't forgotten about that, is not very long at all. And so yeah, the ending episode might be a bit longer. It might be 2.5 to 3 hours, but that's just how it's going to work out. So yeah, 3 more Kageboushi streams, it looks like. Don't hold me to that. It might be 4, but I'm going to try to aim for 3 more Kageboushi streams. And tomorrow, we are going to get back to Seabed. And more of Kageboushi in 2 days. So until next time, I will say, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You are all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.